Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is the third of our webinar series, and it's my pleasure to have with us today two very, very wonderful and important people. I am so honored to have today Regine Bono. Regine is the CEO of Arbis Advisory LLC. She was born in Haiti, but she grew up in the US, and she has been a part of a lot of humanitarian efforts, and she's an international speaker. She's into cybersecurity and risk management. You're welcome to our webinar. And we also have Suleiman Balogun. Suleiman is a doctor, an academic doctor. He's a Nigerian. He is into privacy topic better. Suleiman, I want to say welcome. Hello, Suleiman.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. So let's not waste any more time. I would like us to go straight to the questions. Okay. Regine, the first question is for you. There are a range of attributes that identify a person physically, like race, educational qualification, and gender. What is digital identity, and what are those attributes that are used to identify a person on the internet?
So thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. We haven't seen each other in a long time, but thank you so much.
Yes. 2017, right?
Wow, my goodness. Wow. But, we'll talk about, we're seeing a lot of changes, and we're hearing a lot of information, talk about digital transformation, digital identity. Where we're going with it is our smartphone is becoming a wallet. It's already a wallet, right? And how to eliminate paper. So when you're looking at, aside from, our race, color, like you said, educational background, where are we from, where we're linked to. When we get into digital identity, you're looking at, now we have face recognition, right? That's part of your digital identity. If you have a smartphone that recognizes your features, you actually unlock it, or your fingerprints, right? iPhone uses your fingerprints to, depend on which finger you like, right? to open up your phone. Now we use computers, we have IP address, and I know Suleiman will touch base on data privacy laws on a European level, and what all these are under it to put what we call personally identifiable information on an individual. Your email address, your username and password, your login credentials. That's why I said use strong password and secure that information, because if I have that, I can duplicate myself as you by finding a lot of information, right? Date of birth, be very aware of, your date of birth, social security number or ID number, depending on what is used in your country to identify you as a person with the government. Your medical history now has become an electronic version of it, which been going on for a couple of years now, and now it's in full gear. And some companies, online searches, what you do, how are you, visiting online. This could be a digital footprint. Call that, your footprint on the internet. And all of these come together. Anything you do that is associated with you can become part of your identity. And as we get into it later on, we'll see how some countries are using that to become the new way for you to purchase as well, and provide who you are.
Okay, thank you very much, Regine. Suleiman, this question is for you. Why is it necessary for a person to protect their identity on the internet? And is it advisable to maintain multiple internet personnel?
Well, thank you for asking that question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, yeah, I think my other colleague, I think she has said a lot about multiple identities. You have identity in terms of your medical record, identity in terms of your bank transaction, and the summary of what digital identity means is your footprint on the internet and your online presence on the internet. So back to your question, why is it necessary to maintain multiple identity on the internet? One, okay, first of all, based on the audience that I'm speaking to, so I would like to just break it down to their level so that I have a lot of, jargons. So one, as a Nigerian, because I know most people, on this platform, most of them are from Nigeria and some other people that might be coming from other part of the world. But if you're going to United States from Nigeria, and also when you get to United States or even when you're in Nigeria, if you need to gain employment, right? So I'll just speak based on one principle of maintaining digital identity, which is unlinkability. So this unlinkability, when you're coming to United States, they say you're filling the form at the embassy. So you have to take maybe single or married. So these two things has getting a lot of people into trouble later in future when they don't even know, as a result of it's not ignorance, it's not lack of education, it's just as a result of the culture in their country. We all know in Nigeria, we have traditional marriage, we have legal marriage, and we have customary marriage, which they don't really give us certificates. So when you're filling form at the embassy and you say married, they ask you at the embassy, where's the certificate, right? And you're wondering, where do I get a certificate from? My local leader who just married me and my wife. And for you to avoid that hassle, you take single. Morally, you have justified yourself because you have a reason you don't want to go through all the hassle because there's no one to give you that marriage certificate. So you take single. When you get to the United States, you continue your life, and later when you want to apply for your citizenship, USCIS, they went online, they check everything that you have online. They realize, hey, in 1995, you said you're single, but we realized that you have your kid, which you put on the application, is 20 years old or 25 years old. So how come that is possible? And your online presence and your footprint on the internet says that back then you're married. So there's principle of unlinkability. Your identity while you're in Nigeria and your identity while you're in the United States, they're two different identities. So when your identity conflicts, how do you manage that? And how do you save yourself from that trouble? I've seen a lot of people that came to the United States and they keep wondering, why is my application rejected? Why is my application, I haven't got my green card, it's taken 2 years, 10 years, 5. So a lot of things like that. So I will encourage, let's make sure we try to have an inventory of our record. So that's, to narrow it down to, my younger ones and people on the internet, people on this platform that may have the intention of coming to the United States. So secondly, employment. So employers, they have the right to check on what you do on the internet. So whatever information you put there, there's what we call digital awareness. Digital awareness is the education that, you have to educate yourself. You seek the education and you educate yourself. It is your primary responsibility to know who do you associate with on the internet? What do you post on the internet? What information do you retain on the internet? Those are the things that you need to ask yourself, because later your employer, they have the right to say, what is your political ideology? So like we have the digital identity, we have political identity, we have social identity, we have all kind of identity like that. All of them combined together, just like my colleague previously, she said, all of those combined together, they form your online presence. And the reasons why you have to maintain them, first, because you might need to leave one culture and go to another culture. So because you don't want a conflict of culture or conflict of idea, you need to maintain your digital identity. Another reason for employment opportunity, you need to maintain your digital identity. For your safety, you need to maintain your digital identity.
Thank you so much. No matter how careful you are while sharing your personal information online, sometimes you have no choice but to share the most sensitive and critical information about yourself. If the information is compromised, what action can you take to protect yourself?
That was really linked to your credit report, your government ID, that physical ID, that paper ID that you have in your hand. And it was easier to go on there and prove who you are, and with documents that Suleiman mentioned earlier as well, that is properly guarded and it is in line, right? It's in sync, it matches everywhere you go. And this is the same thing, right? So now things have transitioned, everything's online. So online makes different, you can create your identity online, you can lose your information. Now there's 20 people that looks like you online, right? And they don't look like you, but they have your name. Disclaimer, I have a Regine Bernot, same Regine Bernot Facebook, we don't look alike. However, we're the same family. She's French, I'm from Haiti. We're French somehow, right? So it was funny that, and I use myself as that example, that one time someone was searching me online, and they're like, is something wrong here? And someone mentioned employment, and that was the key issue, right? Regine Bernot, but she spells her name the French way. Except what saved me is that we both don't look alike, and it's day and night per se, right? She's the Caucasian white, and I'm Haitian black, right? And I was like, well, I don't know. We're the same family, and we're not have a good chat online. But it's funny. Someone could have impersonated thinking I'm trying to be someone else, or now I'm going like, oh my God, someone has my identity if I didn't do the search. But when you look at it, it is very important, to guard that. But what can you do when, it's been compromised? And now that things have transitioned online, I mean, there's this thing called the dark web. Any of us know what the dark web is? Have we even thought about it? And there are companies out there that actually you can purchase subscription to, and they can search and be active in searching your name, your information, to alert you if your name has been out there. For a young generation or young crowd, it is a little bit difficult to do, but that is something your parents will have to sign up for to help you in trying to manage that once you've gained it. Can you regain your full identity information if it's been compromised? Yes and no. It all depends the length of time and how long, right? So if I'm, let's just say, if I'm 7, my identity is stolen, right? And this is real stuff, right? And we call it identity theft, but it's totally real. Now I'm 20 something years old, and I'm filing information, filing for a loan. And now, well, we can't give you a loan because you have a house that's $500,000. Mind you, you're 20, you never held a job. How do you have that, right? So the time span makes it a little bit hard, right, to now capture and collect that, but it's gonna take you longer to do. You just have to be active on it. And I'm using that because this is a real life example that I know a personal friend of mine, their child experienced. That's why I got all the information correctly. But if something were to happen like that, like I mentioned earlier, you could sign up for, a program called Dark Web. Some companies offer it to search your name. That's part of the recovery portion. You're going to have to alert all the authorities that, hey, this has happened to me. here's what I don't know what to do, because you don't know how many hands it has changed over, right? But to protect the person that you are, you have to start changing your manners of conducting yourself online, right? You have to change your security measures that you have on your computer. And also to use stronger password, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's not for fun. It is still being used. I just experienced that last week with a client. I'm like, are you kidding me? Kind of stuff. But it is those things, monitor your credit. You can continue to monitor, freeze your credit, really clean up your profile online, because now it's going to be your profile online, and make sure that, if people now have a website for their resumes. That was new to me. I'll come from the back, here's my paper document. But now I tell people, search me online, Google me, you'll see who I am, right? Google yourself as well, right? So those are things that you're going to continue doing to make sure that you stay alert, and stay alert of what's happening. If there's any changes whatsoever on your identity, you can. But the question is, can you recover? You can, at a certain extent, but now you have to continue on, and it's like you have to continue that search to make sure that you clean yourself up as much as you can. But now it's just like we're on this level, and there's this big level underneath where it switches hands, depending on how important you are, right? If you're important enough, you may or may not ever be able to recover your full identity, but you just have to stay alert on that.
Is there an internet law?
You have to do yourself. Now, there are certain laws on a global scale. We'll talk about GDPR, especially in Europe. United States now are having some laws. Each individual states are having laws, right? There are for children. There are certain laws that schools protect children information online, and also your information online, and parents are responsible as well. So GDPR is the the European law that covers all of these aspects that we're talking about. So they realize that the identity of a person is changing, and this law has been around. So now they have to change laws to help protect that. And those laws, which you probably would call internet laws, that are driven out to companies that are e-commerce based companies, which is all of us are, right? To protect that information for the client, for the customer that they are seeking. And if they're not doing, they need to go above and beyond their best to actually protect that. So that's one of the laws that I would talk about. Then there's data privacy laws, right? There's privacy laws that companies put on their website. Once you give me the information, this is what I do with it. It's not protected. This is who I share it with as well, because before we don't know who they're sharing it with, and all of that. So there are certain laws that are in place to protect you. But at the end of the day, it's so much that can be done. You have to take responsibility from now to protect yourself. Because when I was growing up versus the new generation, my 7-year-old growing up, totally different, right? I grew up, we created this thing that we're dealing with today, right? But it was like, I still had to pick up the phone call, use a quarter to make a call. And then internet was like, I had to wait my time online to use it, if I was able to, and in the right direction. But now everything is at your fingertips, and I do my business on this. Everyone is doing it. So you have to take that first step yourself to protect yourself, and then you can rely on the information that you're given to have that company protect you as well. But read the fine print. Don't accept. We'll get into a little other things as well. Suleiman, do you have anything that you may want to on the data privacy sector?
Pretty much you have touched on everything at a high level, and you mentioned Children Online Privacy Act, which is the COPA, United States, and you have generally internet law. There is no international internet law, but the most comprehensive, like you said, is the GDPR. So the comprehensive model for privacy is the General Data Protection Regulation. And in the United States, United States only have sectoral privacy laws. So each, I mean by sectoral, like the Department of Commerce, they are regulated by Federal Trade Commission. And communication is regulated by FCC, and education is regulated, education rights, privacy at FERPA. So all those laws are broken down like that. So, but like you said, you have to protect yourself first.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you, Suleiman. Now let me relate that to the next question. I studied in the US, and my records and were compromised, and but I no longer live in the US. I now live in Nigeria. So how do I protect myself? You have all these laws, and I believe that they're all for US citizens and not for those outside the United States, apart from the GDPR, which is European. So how do I protect myself as a Nigerian?
Okay, well, as a disclaimer, I understand GDPR and I understand US privacy law. I'm perfect with that. I'm a Nigerian, but I don't really understand the privacy laws currently in Nigeria. Maybe I need to add that to my research. But if you are a Nigerian and you come to the United States, definitely FERPA, the Education Rights Privacy Act, the scope of FERPA is they cover most college and universities that receive grants from the federal government, and K-12 schools. K-12 here is like a public primary and secondary schools in Nigerian terms. So from grade 1 to grade 12, like in Nigeria, we have primary 1 to primary 6 and JSS 1 to 3. So it's the same thing like that. So now if you go to if you go to a private college or private primary and secondary school in the United States, you might not be regulated by FERPA. So FERPA, they are not regulated by these private schools. And again, what is the right of action that you have? You do not have a private right of action to sue FERPA directly. So there's no individual right of action, but the Department of Education, if you had or if you have any concern, Department of Education will take that concern for you to, maybe sue FERPA or do anything with them. So what are the information, what is the rights that FERPA give? FERPA give right to two people, individual, like minor, who are, if you're above 18 years of age, you have the right to control your own education record. But if you're a minor, which is between age 1 and 18, then 17, your parents have the right to control your education record. So if you get into a post-secondary school, then you can control your record. So what type of record are we controlling here? Or what type of record are we protecting? Your grade, your application, and some grade, most of your transcripts. So to mention some but a few. So now, when it comes, there's some other information that they are not regulated, that there's permission for FERPA or for permission for your school to share with others. For example, your transcript may be shared with other schools without your permission. Sometimes you give your consent for them to share your transcript. Other times, your transcript may be shared for educational purpose. And there are other information for research purpose that they are allowed to share with other research institutions. As a Nigerian, you may be covered under the General Data Protection Regulation, but intuitively, I think once you go to school in the United States and you are no longer in the United States, I believe that, on the moral ground, United States is not going to segregate someone from Nigeria and someone who is an American and protect one nationality should have protection more than the other. So I don't believe that is going to happen. But if you're still a Nigerian and you go to school in the United States, if anything happens, I can say 99% that you will enjoy the privilege that people who go to school in the United States, the privilege that a citizen or a permanent resident will enjoy, that you will enjoy the same.
On Wednesday, CEOs of the 4 big tech companies appeared before Congress. One of the key takeaways by the BBC was that Google and Facebook are faced with claims of biases and being too intrusive over the way they study their user online habits. Now, I want to find out from you, can there be any risks with what I and my family share on social media?
I think that's a loaded question, but you know, from what we've seen, right? Yes, yes, and yes, right? So, I mean, you know, those giants are being brought upon and asking, especially by the U.S. government, and then you're also going to see that with, you know, GDPR. Facebook and Google already got slapped with a couple of infractions, right? With what, you know, they're not doing right to protect the identity, the information that they're giving. So yes, you are posing a risk, right? And governments are starting to realize that, because at some point, something that happens to you will affect them eventually, right? Because you're part of them. And at the end of the day, we call it like the least privileged person is the one that gives the best access to the crown jewels we call data. So you've seen all that happen, because at some point you're gonna become an employee, right? At some point we don't know where you're gonna end up, who you're going to work for. And as we're seeing, we're interconnecting so much now. I can work all the way in another side of the world, but guess what? We spoke about my identity, right? What makes me identifiable can connect me to another part of the world. And now a hacker can use that to triangulate and get access, because now I'm thinking it's you, right? And we used this example earlier, but I'm Nigerian, I come to school in the United States, perfect opportunity as well, right? Now, I don't know who's who, but yes, you pose a risk. And I mentioned earlier, when we were growing up, there was no such thing as social media. We could do things nobody knows, but now we're in a hospital. We're in a hospital. We're not home. We're putting that up. I had a friend of mine like, look, you're my friend. I cannot let you do this any longer. If so, we're going to have disconnect our connection online, because it doesn't work. Because you're linking yourself to me and you exposing me as well. So if I'm doing something online, I'm not thinking, I'm exposing, oh yeah, I'm on vacation here with my parents. I'm doing this, my parents are not home. You putting yourself at risk, and that's just personal risk, right? Not only you, yes, your family's at risk, and now you're creating chaos and things that you wouldn't need to. And you know, and she stopped doing that. I said, I can't read all your information on your wristlet. I don't need to know you're in the hospital. I don't need to see a picture of you in the hospital. You know, those kind of stuff. I don't need to know you're not home, you're on vacation. Tell me when you come back. Like, I go out, nobody knows where I'm going. I post, but I have to clean myself, and I've always been like that, right? So I carry myself a certain way, because again, that follows me. I know, and our culture is, right, and I'm from Haiti, we have the same cultures, that your name and your face is all you have. Money can get you into entrance somewhere, but at the end of the day, it'll just get you in. Do people have to like you? No, because they know what else you do with that, right? So your name and your face is what you have, and you have to protect it everywhere that you go and present yourself well. So that sticks with me. And I take that to my American 7-year-old, who I told him he's not really, you know, he's just American by birth, right? But he still has to follow the same things. But, you know, I see those things, and that's why I love doing these things, especially to talk to the younger generation, younger folks. Suleiman mentioned earlier, your employers now are checking up on you. I mean, and it's not even just your employer. You may go somewhere and someone is talking to you, they pull out their phone, you think they're writing down information. No, they're checking up on you. That's how easy it is. You have a LinkedIn profile, you have a Facebook profile, a Google Plus profile, everywhere. I didn't know I was all over the place. I didn't know, but because one links to the other because of marketing, right? So, and I say all this to show you how we are linked. And now if I go on the website for Macy's, I'm looking at a pair of shoes I may like. Next thing you know, I leave the site, I go on Facebook, it's popping up. Hey, did you forget this? I get an email, don't forget me in your cart. So, you know, all of these things, you know, to show him like, wait a second, how Facebook know I was on, I was on Macy's. I wasn't even on my phone because I only access it on my phone. I'm like, how did that happen? Money, right? We're in a you know, capital environment. Now it's a global scale. Everyone wants to know what you're doing because now they're selling that information to companies that needs it in order to formulate a profile of you and remind you, hey, here's some recommendation because I saw that you like this per your searches. We are exposing ourselves too much. And not only at a younger age now, we're all over the internet. I don't post pictures. If I do, it's once in a blue moon and it's really pictures that mean something and it will mean something, right? It's not just pictures I just want to post, and any pictures will be obnoxious online because all of these things follow you as well, and all of these things pose risk. And I spoke earlier, it may not be risk on a physical aspect, but it will be risk on a future aspect as well. And then now that goes down to your family, right? Oh, I saw your daughter doing this. What's going on here? And then now this is never erased. That's why a question earlier was, can I get my identity back? How do I clean it up? It's never erased. And this is what people are finding out. And it's like, let's start cleaning up now. It never erases. Nothing you post online goes away, okay? It will come back and say, hey, you had this post 20 something years ago. We found it for you. No, I don't want it, but too late now, right? So yes, you do pose a risk, and all of these are examples I'm giving you to show you how you are posing those risks, not only to yourself, your future self, right? Because it's fun now. What's fun now may not be fun later. When you're applying for a big job at the NSA, right? Or NASA, or you're a big engineer, you're a big so-and-so today. Oh, well, I was a kid back then. Oh, well, that's your moral turpitude. Well, I was a kid back then. Well, that's nice, but we still follow. Well, that didn't look right because governments go back. You won't even know how long. They go back to the first, some of them go back to when you were born to talk about people who may not, hopefully they die, but you know, but those are things that if you looking at your future, and I know you're young, you want to have fun, but the exposure, the technology exposure, we need to look at it a different. Nothing has changed except now information is easily accessible. You still have to maintain yourself. You still have to maintain yourself correctly, online, offline, you know, and have that integrity when you move forward. So think about the risk you pose to yourself, your family, now and the future, and you never know when it's going to come back. So I say all this to say yes.
As a follow-up to what she has said, can you tell us about a social credit score and how it's affecting what maybe employers or scholarship boards or people's reputation generally in today where we have big data and people can just look you up?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And just to piggyback on what she said earlier about family, friends, and how they can affect you. That's whatever the employer or the social credit score, which that's China terminology. And in the United States, we have, you know, the credit score, but is it the same as the social credit score? We're coming back to that. But your friends and families, they can affect you and your online reputation. I'll give another example, two examples, but this is a personal example. It is possible to control what you put out on Facebook. I left Facebook in 2013 and I was off Facebook for like 7 years. I just checked back my Facebook account maybe a month or 2 months ago. I have inventory of all the people in my circle that I add on any accounts that I join. Like for example, LinkedIn. I remember the host, you were asking me, I can find you on LinkedIn. I said, I'm on LinkedIn because I just want to enhance my career. So only employers can look for me and find me. So I don't need no friend to socialize with me on LinkedIn. So I don't give access to, so except people who I want to connect with. So on Facebook, it's possible to control who are in your moral universe, who are in your circle. Because like Regine said, all of this, show me your friends and I can tell who you are. So all of this will become part of your online footprints, that if you are talking to a gang, and if you are talking to a terrorist, if you are talking to, you know, we all know when we see it, we know it is bad. So all of those together will form a digital identity scale, which employers or any governments, they can use that and say, okay, in no circumstance, you should be talking to these people with this political identity. So know the sites that you visit, know the people that you invite in your space, know the people that you also invite. I mean, know the people that invite you. So it's vice versa. So all of those together, there's no universal digital identity scale for now. So I know Russia, they have a way to, you know, measure that and use that for people who, you know, abide by rules and regulation. But the social credit score in Russia, I mean in China, and credit score in United States is different. Credit score in United States, when you borrow money, pay back your money that you borrow. When you rent a house, pay your rent on time. It's just a normal way of being a responsible person. I mean, everybody will agree to, why do you want to borrow money and don't want to pay? So if you don't pay your rent and you don't pay what you've borrowed from 10 people, what's going to assure me that if I borrow you or let you come into my space, that you're going to pay me my rent? So
sorry. A landlord could just go online and look you up and look at your credit score and decide, no, I don't want this person in my house.
It's not going to happen. Well, it's not going to happen like that. A landlord will seek your consent that I need to pull up your credit score. So it is a fair hard credit reporting rule. So they need to let you know that they want to pull up your report. And again, once they pull that report, it's not the credit reporting agency that actually make the decision. They need to put that in writing as well, that this decision is based on, it's going to appear in your record that you lived in Nigeria from 2000 to 2005, you did not pay this rent. Somebody reported you that you didn't pay the rent. Again, somebody reported you that you owe them some money. Every report that will be there is based on individual responsibility. So that's how, that if somebody is not responsible, then it will show on the credit score. So a landlord will not just go and pull up the information. A landlord will go to the credit consumer and search for the information. Credit consumer will give them the information about the individual, and the landlord will make the decision based on the information, telling the person that these are reasons why we deny you. If it is not true, that individual has the right to, you can disprove whatever is not true about a record that is gotten from the credit consumer.
Okay, Igbe Gloria is talking about people using their date of birth, password, birthdays, location, and your workplace as their password. Igbe, I don't know, would you like to ask a question? I'm unmuting you right now. Can you please talk to us about what you have here on the chat? Gloria is talking about people using their date of birth, password, birthdays, location, and your workplace as their password. I don't know, would you like to ask a question? I'm unmuting you right now. Can you please talk to us about what you have here on the chat? Gloria. Gloria. Hello, Gloria. Okay, Gloria. Gloria, can you hear me? Yes, talk to us.
Yeah. Saying if you're signing into a social media account, most people use their date of birth, their workplace, and their location to save as their passwords. So hackers can use the information displayed on social media to get access to your account. And when you're uploading a photo on social media, if you add your location, like this can aid criminal activities, and they can track where you are at the moment through the photos you post on social media.
Yes, that's very, very true, Igbe. Thank you. Tell us what you think of the recent Twitter hack and the potential security risks of working from home. Reggie.
Well, I mean, we're seeing that across board, right? First it was Facebook, and now, Twitter. Then I think LinkedIn also suffered something as well. So, this is it's a security issue, right? So some they found, and it's still in the work, right? So there's not much we can disclose, but at the face of it, it was a phishing email, and we've seen phishing email. We talk about that. What is phishing email? Is someone acting to be someone and telling you to do certain things, and then or click on a link, and because it's a trusted person that why would someone send me something bad? Oh, I clicked on it. And what's so funny is that they impersonate the person so well because they're watching you and they see your interaction, and that's where that social identity, right? Your footprint on the internet, someone who's following in your every move. And Gloria mentioned that as well, right, earlier. People you're a friend with, you don't know who they are. You need to ask questions and research them, because you can't do that yourself, right? So in that instant, they have the time to do that. So this is how they said they will send the email, and I may send me an email. I checked on LinkedIn. Hey, did you send me this email? What's going on? And I have different ways of checking to make sure that was her before I click, right? As a company, I have certain security measures in place to filter that. But however, how much can they do? If they're sending 1,000 attack at my firewall or on my security platform, one will likely go through. But now what's my other layer of security, right, to actually protect that? And the human element, I call it human element. I am the still Star Wars and all those kind of good geek, right? So the human element factor, we call them insider threats as well, which I don't really like, but human element sticks better. There's a user at the end, and it's always going to be a human that's going to make that decision. And at that moment, the psyche of the person is, I don't know what is that moment mean, right? Unless I'm constantly checking on that person as they walk in. Now we're dealing with COVID-19. They check us to make sure we have a temperature. Okay, but if I carry it, I can be a very cool person, right? And I'm sick inside. You don't know. So how are we going to click? So phishing email, an explanation, as I mentioned, is someone pretending to be me or myself, and we're interacting. They see we're interacting. Hey, check this website, check this link out to see if that's good for your presentation. I'm going to click on it and not thinking twice. So if I click on it and not think twice, I'm like, why would she send me information? I'm supposed to do my own research kind of stuff. But guess what? I click on it, now I open myself up. Before, it used to be locked down on your computer. Now it's very calculated and targeted. You see the Twitter account, the issue was really targeted because it didn't take down Twitter. It went directly for what they were looking for. So you have different forms of it, right? And then I captured my username and password, and now because I'm linked to so many, and now I'm linked to one person that I can get to. That's all I need, right? To get into it, to get that entrance. So, but it's a lot of education, right? Could Twitter have stopped it? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. But education, because at the end of that spectrum, a person sat down and made the decision to click that button, to click that link, and they didn't even know. You know, they probably didn't even know they were giving someone access because they're that good. You know, we could sit here and talk about foulness, you know, emails and, well, I didn't click on anything. Well, I didn't need you to click on it. Just open the email and I'm in. So there's all of these aspects. So we don't know what really happened. But when you look at it, you know, and the second part of the question was, you know, how is it the effect on it, right? So what do I see on the security and privacy? This is, we're all exposed to that. Education and awareness training is key, is becoming the element. It doesn't matter. I mean, I think Suleiman and myself and yourself have studied enough in life, but we still continue to stay abreast of what is happening because it is what we do. And as human, we study, oh, I'm done with studying. No, you're not, because things change and you always have to keep up. And companies have to stop thinking that way. Parents think that way. Children think that way. Students think that way. You don't stop learning just because you have a degree, right? There's certain things that you have to continuously learn and move on with. So, you know, my thought right now, until they open up and you know exactly what happened, but because they know it was through a phishing email, we deal with that a lot. We see that remote working now exposes a lot of companies to that. It was a large issue before, now it's become bigger because now everyone is on their own network, right? Their own internet provider. Who's to say I'm not sharing my computer with my kid who's doing homework? Now we have remote schooling. So we're really like, you know, in a little box now. And if we don't have the security expertise or technical aspect to say, well, you can't use my computer. If the company said, if somebody else uses the computer, I will know because they give you that computer and they have solutions or security measures to monitor where you go and what you do, and they can shut you down if you do that, then people will do what they continue to do. So remote work, it is great for those. It's a good thing. We're all having fun and we could get up whenever we want, help our kids. It helps the family rekindle. It has a lot of good stuff to it, but as an individual, we have our responsibilities as well, right? So we here, companies have the duty to let people know that still continue, do not let people use your computer, do not share your password, do not leave it open, do not, you know, you should see me at home. I look like a little, you know, detective. Everything is on lockdown. Can I use a computer? Are you crazy? Aren't you a cyber kid? You cannot use them. But no, let's figure something else out. So, you know, segment your network at home, but no one knows that, right? So we have to take extra measures now because the new normal is what we're seeing, right? Currently, before it was easy, telework, it's no longer that. And we could manage that. Now, 50%, if not more, of the workforce is at home. How do you manage that, right? And that's where remote work right now. And it's exposing a lot, but we got to continue on with what we're doing. And security needs to remain at top of mind. And data privacy is a big thing. So that's your data that's flowing somewhere else you may not know because you can't capture it. So that's going to be, it's the next thing to capture.
Oh, thank you so much, Regine. Thank you, Suleiman. It has been very, very educative. I hope they've learned a lot. I'll let you go now. It's 1 hour on the mark. So we'll just take a little activity after now with the kids and then we'll wrap it up. Thank you too for coming. Thank you. Okay. Okay. I hope you've enjoyed what we've done, everything we've done so far. Now we're going to take a little activity. I want all of you to get your pen and your paper, and I just want to ask you some questions based on what you've learned today. So the first question is, are we ready? Okay, first question. Which profile picture should you choose? I'm going to give you the options. Which profile picture should you choose? A picture of you and all your friends. B, A picture of you and all your friends. B, a picture of you in front of your house. C, a picture of you in your best pose. D, a picture of your face and shoulder. Which of these should be your profile picture? A picture of you and all your friends, a picture of you in front of your house, a picture of you in your best pose, or a picture of your face and shoulder. From what you've learned today, what do you think will be the best profile picture you should choose? Okay, if you have chosen D, that is your correct answer. A picture of your face and shoulder that in a portrait will do just fine. There's no need to have your entire body or your family or your house or your friends as your profile picture. Is that okay? Now, the next question is this. You are excited to be going on a vacation to the beach next week. What should you do? You are excited to be going on a vacation to the beach next week. What should you do? A, post a daily countdown to your big trip. B, have your parents ask a neighbor to check your mail next week. C, start a poll asking which swimsuit you should buy for a trip. D, make a post asking if anyone knows a good dog sitter for next week. E, post a picture once you get to the beach. Let me read out the options again. You are excited to be going on a vacation to the beach next week. What should you do? Post a daily countdown on your Facebook, Twitter handle, anywhere. Just post a daily countdown to your big trip. B, have your parents ask a neighbor to check your mail next week. C, start a poll asking which swimsuit you should buy online, you know. D, make a post asking if anyone knows a good dog sitter for next week. And E, post a picture once you get to the beach. The correct thing you should do is B. Don't post anything online that may tell others you are going out of town. Don't post anything online that may tell others that you are going out of town. It's fine to tell your neighbor so that they won't be worried and they can keep an eye on your home, but please don't let anybody know where you're going. And just like Igbe said, make sure you turn off the location option on your photo. Now, this is talking about your digital identity. Your digital identity has 3 layers, and you can only protect one of them. Your digital identity has 3 layers, and you can only protect one. These are the 3 layers of your digital identity: what you share, what your behavior tells them, and what the machine thinks about you. What you share, what your behavior tells them, and what the machine thinks about. There are online algorithms that kind of guess who you are based on what you share. What you share. What you share. Now, what are the things you usually share? You share your likes and your reactions. You search for items, your photos, your fingerprints, your status updates. Now, what your behavior tells them? That you're online, your keystrokes, your device positions, your timestamp, your location and travel patterns. Now, what does the machine think about you? Your political affiliation, you're expecting a baby, your income level, are you lonely? I want to thank you all for joining this webinar today, for being a part of this session. I hope you join again next time, and I hope that you've learned a lot. Please mind what you share online and be very careful, because like the panelists said, there are digital footprints, and these things, maybe tomorrow you want to be a politician, people could bring up all of this information about you. Okay? So be very careful, protect your internet identity. Thank you, and bye-bye.